Welcome back, everybody. This is Stitch 1993, and this is a listicle. Basically, where I do a top 10 of something I'm very interested in, and today is the top 10 shows that still aren't on Disney Plus. Now, this is being recorded November 6th, 2022, so by the time this video comes out, I don't know if any of these shows will have been released, so it may be dated a bit. But, if by the time this comes out and these are still not released, I don't know what to say. These are probably some of the, at least for me, some of the better Disney shows that, for one reason or another, just aren't on the platform. I made this list specifically because we just recently got Bear in the Big Blue House and PB&J Otter, which were two of the shows I really wanted them to include for a really long time. So now those are out of the way, I was thinking, well, there's still other ones, and Disney Plus is now going on almost 4 years now. So let's get started. Number 10, Brandy and Mr Whiskers. Originally airing in August 21st, 2004 and ending in August of 2006. This was a TV series about a dog named Brandy and a rabbit named Mr. Whiskers, and they were stranded in Amazon rainforest after falling out of an airplane. And then hijinks ensue. They made friends with the locals. There's a lizard that's the villain, and I believe he just keeps wanting to eat Mr. Whiskers, and I think he's infatuated with Brandy. It has been a while since I've seen it, so I could be wrong. But this was kind of one of the few Disney shows that had a bit kind of gross out humor, I want to say. Like, it wasn't like, if you showed this to somebody and didn't tell them it was a Disney show, they probably wouldn't expect it to be from Disney. This seems more like something that Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network were made. And I just feel like it was a really interesting show for its time. It's probably a really interesting show now. So, number 9, Fillmore. Originally airing in September 2002 and ending in January 2004. This was a show about the titular kid, Fillmore, a 12-year-old who, after being caught doing something at school, is forced to either go to detention or become part of the safety patrol. Basically, he becomes a hall monitor. But the show takes it so seriously. Like, growing up, I felt very adult watching this show. I don't know really how to explain it. It wasn't a comedic show. Like, it was like they were trying to solve crimes the same way like a show like CSI would solve crimes. Like, I'm not even kidding. The animation was great, and it was a really fun show that didn't really talk down to kids or have to have jokes every 5-10 minutes, although I'm sure there was some every now and then. It was just a really interesting show, and I feel like it's aged rather well from what I remember of the show, and I feel like today's kids would still enjoy it also. Number 8, Johnny and the Sprites. So when the show came out, I was past the age demographic for this show, but I did check it out every once in a while, like if I woke up too early and Playhouse Disney was still showing their shows. I was waiting for the regular cartoons. This one was one of the least annoying ones. This aired in 2005 and ended in 2008. So by then, Playhouse Disney was kind of on the downhill there as far as shows. But this was one of the last few, in my opinion, good shows. So it features Johnny, played by the puppeteer John Tartaglia, which you may know from either Bear in the Big Blue House or Avenue Q. And he has a garden with all these sprites. And it's one of those basic kid shows that teaches, about life and morals. The puppeteering, though, was really good. I really liked the creature designs for both the sprites and the other characters that would show up. Since we have Bear in the Big Blue House, we should also have Johnny Sprites. I feel like both shows complement each other really well, and if you have one, you've got to have the other. Number 7, Get Ed. So this was just a really fun show for me, originally airing in September 2005 and ending less than a year later in April 2006. It was really ahead for its time as sort of plots. Like, this is talking about identity theft and data mining and stuff that wouldn't really get into the public eye until almost a decade later. But, the writers thought it was something interesting, and I feel like it's like, for me, it's kind of like a sequel series to Reboot. Again, they don't have anything in common, but it's like an updated version of that, in my opinion, as far as kind of plot and look. And since at this time we didn't have anything like Tron Uprising coming out, or even the Tron sequel, this was a nice alternative. The Get Ed show was about Ed, who is an electrogenetically enhanced teen who works for Dojo Deliveries. They go around the city delivering technical doodads and stuff while trying to thwart the evil bad guys in regards to what they're trying to do, which is like, as I said, is about data mining and identity theft and all the stuff that comes with all that. But this was just a really nice, fun, interesting show, and the animation, I feel, still holds up to this day. Number 6, House of Mouse. It's Mickey Mouse and all his friends sitting down and watching old and sometimes new Mickey Mouse shows. Originally airing in January of 2001, ending in October 2003. This was the closest we were going to get to a big old crossover event, because not only did it have characters from Mickey Mouse like Donald Duck and Goofy and Pluto, but every single character from all the animated other movies, like just sitting around hanging out watching these old cartoons was just very exciting for me as a kid, because who wouldn't want to see Hook and Ursula hanging out with Hades, or Aladdin talking with Ariel about these old cartoons? It was just hilarious. And they did show the old cartoons, but there'll always be an overarching plot about the theater and what Mickey and Minnie are doing, or holding a party or whatever. And it felt also kind of like the kid version to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So it was a staple to the Disney afternoon block, and I have no clue why to this day this is not on Disney Plus. Number 5, The Weekenders. Originally airing in February 2000 and ending 4 years later in February of 2004, The Weekenders was one of the shows that was a lot of preteen animated shows at the time, like Doug, Pepper Ann, As Told by Ginger, Rocket Power. It's just a bunch of preteens hanging around, getting into regular preteen stuff. Animation was really good, and the plots always seemed pretty down to earth. Like, you didn't ever get into anything really weird. One episode I really remember growing up was the one where there's a birthday party and the kid feels like he's too old to have like a birthday party. He's an adult now, but his mom gets him this clown blow up house, jumping house, and he is like haunted by this thing, and then he sees all his friends enjoying it, and he's like, I'm still a kid, I should enjoy while it lasts. Plots like that just, were what made the show what it is. And I remember Disney saying they were bringing this show. This got announced back when they were saying, don't worry, stuff like Pepper Ann is coming to Disney Plus, and we did get Pepper Ann, but as of this recording, we're still waiting on the Weekenders, so I don't know what's going on with that. But definitely a show that should return if and when it does. Number 4, Stanley, originally airing in September of 2001 and ending in November of 2004. This was just a really lovely animated version of Steve Irwin. Uh, it was a 6-year-old kid named Stanley, as he would learn about animals through a book, and kind of like Blue's Clues, he would jump into the book and then interact with the animals, kind of in a Wild Thornberry sort of way, but not as crazy as Wild Thornberry. It was very much educational, and even include some live action segments about whatever animal they were talking about for that episode. I remember there was a episode that aired at the end of the Roly Poly Oly movie, and I believe the show had already been out by then for a while, but it was like heavily advertised. I was like, by the way, there is an episode of Stanley after this movie. So, and this was around that same Playhouse Disney block as Roly Poly Oly and PBGA Otter, Bear in the Big Blue House and Out of the Box. So this is like the last piece of that puzzle, the Playhouse Disney, I feel like that's missing. Number 3, Dumbo Circus, originally airing in May of 1985. This is probably the weirdest show on the list, and I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, especially since some of the puppets do look a bit uncanny valley in a way. I feel like they have some human features on them that kind of takes it away from the character. But overall, I remember this airing in reruns on Disney Channel and just being enthralled the whole time. It's just has really nothing to do with the movie at all. If anything, it maybe slaps in the face a bit, since Dumbo is like the leader of this circus, which, you know, in the movie, the circus was considered like the big bad kind of character. But yeah, all the other characters are animals too in a circus, showing off, doing tricks, and so on. But still an interesting show, and I really would like to see this, you know, come back, especially now that we have that Alice in Wonderland show on there. This kind of that was the prequel to that in a way, as far as the puppeteering, and overall was very interesting and fun show. Number 2, Lloyd in Space. This was a weird show, and I love it. Originally airing in February of 2001 and then ending 3 years later in February 2004. It was about an alien named Lloyd living in space with his mom and his weird telekinesis sister, and just all the really weird shenanigans that aliens and humans would get into if they were, you know, middle schoolers. I feel like this would be considered like Disney's version of Invader Zim. They came out at about the same time, so there's kind of a lot of similarities as far as, you know, wacky humor and green alien, but, you know, more Disney wise for Lloyd in Space, and just a fun show all around. Definitely would recommend checking it out. My favorite episode's gotta be the Halloween episode, just because it really goes full almost horror, and I remember actually being scared the first time I watched this episode. Definitely check that one out, if any of them. The number 1 show, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. It's probably the one that makes the most sense, especially with now that Lightyear's out and on Disney Plus. I know in the past there was some bad blood between Pixar and this show. The original creators didn't want this show to be made, from what I've read up on. But, you know, nowadays, since those creators, some of them are, you know, not even with the company anymore, I really don't know what is holding back. I don't know if it's Disney's now embarrassed by it, or they don't want to confuse people with the Lightyear brand, because I know none of the characters really overlap outside of there's some, you know, small takes here and there in the Lightyear movie, mainly the Cyclops. But ask anyone, and they'll probably pick this as their favorite show. Ask anyone that's a Toy Story fan, and they'll probably pick this over the Lightyear movie. I like them both equally, but the plot was Buzz Lightyear being a Star Commander, having his own crew, going on to crazy hijinks, trying to thwart Zurg and the other villains that would show up. Of course, you had his cast that was Princess Marinova, which was basically female Buzz Lightyear, but she had the ability to like go through walls. Booster, which was just the kind of dumb one of the crew, but he just had, it was like dumb with the heart of gold kind of guy, and every now and then he was very helpful in the mentions. And then XR, the smart aleck robot, which would be able to blow up and then put himself back together hundreds of times. And then of course you had the little green men, or as they're named in the show, LGMs, which is interesting because the little green men weren't always a Lightyear thing. Like in Toy Story, they're just this toy at Pizza Planet, and it's definitely, you know, not connected to Buzz Lightyear anyway, but it's alien, so they had to add them in there. So yeah, that's my top 10 of, and again, this is filmed in November of 2022, so by the time this releases, I hope, if not all, at least maybe some of these have been released by then. But let me know down in the comments which shows you think should be either on Disney Plus or at least have been on this list. And until next time, thank you and have a good day.